YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to Followers Wrath. My name is Jay, and today we're continuing with our series of Figure the Best of Every Type Is in Generation 1. We just finished up the Rock Type Challenge. We have a ranking video. It came out on Wednesday. From worst to best, recommend you go check that video out. We have 3 types left to finish up this entire series. We have the Water type, we have the Normal type, and today's prediction is for the Psychic type. We have 7 Pokemon participating in this challenge: Hypno, Alakazam, Mewtwo, Starmie, Mr. Mime, and Slowbro. This is not a challenge that I'm confident in when it comes to how I think they'll rank. Psychic-type Pokemon are actually very good in Generation 1. There's not really any weaknesses they have. Every Pokemon has like a subtle weakness, but there's not like an overall, it's not like one type that just obliterates Psychic-type. This doesn't happen. Some Psychic Pokemon are kind of frail when it comes to physical attacks, but some are not. It just really depends on the Pokemon. So there's a lot of things that are advantages for Psychic types, which you're going to see as we go over every Pokemon. So if I had to put money on how they're going to rank, I wouldn't do it. This is not a Pokemon. This is not a type that I'm very confident in how they're going to land. I think they're all going to do very well, honestly. And actually, I have a new tier list I'm going to show you guys. And you're going to see that these Pokemon are probably going to land at least in the B tier or higher. I would put money on that. I wouldn't put money on how they're going to rank, but I would definitely say this is going to be one of the best types in Generation 1. The first Pokemon I want to talk about in this challenge, the Pokemon I think is going to do the worst in this challenge, and that Pokemon is Slowbro. Slowbro comes in with some pretty good moves and decent stats, but it has one glaring weakness. HP for this Pokemon is 95, attack is 75, defense is 110, special is 80, and speed is 30. Speed being 30 is its biggest hindrance. It acts as a pretty balanced attacker, which actually synergizes pretty well with our move pool. We're also a pretty bulky Pokemon. We take a lot of hits, which is good because we're going to go second a lot with this Pokemon. As we look at our level move pool, like I said, it synergizes very well. We have a special move right out the gate, Confusion, 50 base power, 75 with Stab. We will not use Disable very much, and Headbutt is a good physical move. So there's special and physical that we can utilize. As we look through the move pool, Water Gun is a move we're going to get access to via TM, but also talk about it's 40 base power, 60 with Stab, 100% accurate. We'll get this in Mount Moon via TM. We will not use Growl Withdrawal. It is a badge boosting move, so we will use it for a little bit in this playthrough, but not very long because we're going to get a much better move in Amnesia. Amnesia ups our special by 2 stages, but it will also do the badge boost, so whenever this happens, we can actually compensate a little bit for our speed. May not be a bad idea to keep Withdrawal and Amnesia so we can badge boost more than once to speed up this Pokemon, but we will see. And the final move for this Pokemon we're going to talk about is Psychic, but we will get Psychic via TM, so we're not going to get a level 55. We'll get it long before that. We'll talk about it again whenever the TMs come up. Now, you're seeing this scroll up very slowly. This was the first Pokemon I edited, and then after that I watched it. I'm like, the rest of the Pokemon we're going to do totally different, but I'm just going to let it scroll up and I'll pause it and talk about it. The first move we get access to, actually the first move is Water Gun we get access to, but we get access to Mega Punch as well in Mount Moon. Mega Punch is a decent move. It's not going to replace Headbutt by any stretch, but it will add power points. That way we don't have to go back and heal as often. We will not use Mega Kick. We will not use Toxic. Body Slam will pretty much be our physical move for a while with this Pokemon. It'll replace Headbutt and Mega Punch, and that'll be our physical move pretty much for most of the game until we decide we got to get rid of it. This Pokemon, you really have a lot of options here, so this is where this Pokemon can be a problem, is you have great options when it comes to moves. As we scroll down, we're not going to use Takedown or Double Edge, but we do get access to Bubble Beam. That will replace Water Gun with this Pokemon. 65 base power, 100% accurate. And we also, with Stab, it's 98 effective power. It's a very good move. And then as we scroll down, we get Ice Beam. So Ice Beam's another move that we could add, but if you're looking at this, we have Body Slam, Bubble Beam, Ice Beam. So there's 3 moves. We have Amnesia. We already talked about that. We have a lot of problems with this Pokemon where we may not have enough. We have too many moves. So if we had like 5 or 6 move slots, this would be very easy. This Pokemon could probably run roughshod out of this game. But the problem what we're going to have is we're going to have a little bit of what are we going to use in the end of the game. So we might have to be using our moves pretty sparingly. And as we scroll down, we're probably not going to use Hyper Beam. We're not going to use Payday. Submission, Counter. Seismic may have like a very niche use for like 5 minutes, but not very long. Rage, not going to use. Now here's 2 moves that we definitely want to use: Dig and Earthquake. However, when do we want to add Earthquake? If we add Earthquake too quick, it might be a move we might have to delete for something in the Elite Four. If we add it too late, I mean, we could have made it run a little bit faster. Dig, it's definitely going to be a move I add, but we're going to have Dig, we're going to have Confusion, we're going to have Headbutt at one point, we're going to have Bubble Beam. So yeah, those moves are looking pretty good, but eventually we're going to have to get rid of these things, and I don't know, it's going to be difficult to figure out which is which. Psychic is a move we're going to get via TM, and you get it in Saffron City by talking to Mr. Psychic. 90 base power, 100% accurate, 135 with Stab. Teleport, not going to use. Mimic, not going to use. Double Team, not going to use. Reflect, not going to use. Bide. Fire Blast, not going to use. Swift. Skull Bash. Rest is a possibility, but I doubt it. Thunder Wave, not going to use. Psy Wave, not going to use. Tri Attack, not going to use. Substitute. Surf is a possibility. Strength and Flash. So we have a lot of moves. That's a lot of moves, guys. Effectively, we could have so many moves at the end of the game. Psychic is useful. Surf, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Earthquake, Body Slam. All these moves. And we got to keep Amnesia. So there's so many moves that we can have near the end of the game. This Pokemon just, like I said, a lot of analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, because you have so many options with this Pokemon. I'm going to have to really think about how to map this Pokemon out so we can utilize our moves effectively. But I don't think this Pokemon will do bad by any stretch. If you look at the tier list, we're going to look at the tier list here in a little bit. I think every Pokemon is going to end up B tier or higher. I do think he's going to do pretty well. It's just his speed is going to hinder it and cause some resets, or at least take a little bit longer because of some things. Also, if we have Repels up, it still is a pretty slow Pokemon, so we could still get caught by some wild Pokemon and things like that. So that's the problem with Slowbro. It's not going to be a bad Pokemon by any stretch. It might just be a bad Pokemon compared to the rest of the Psychic types. The next Pokemon we're going to talk about in this challenge, the Pokemon I think is going to be very controversial. People think this Pokemon is extremely good in Generation 1, which it's good to a degree, but I'll explain why I don't think it's going to do as well as some other Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Starmie. It does come with some great stats. HP is 60, Attack is 75, Defense is 85, Special is 100, and Speed is 115. So the stats are great with this Pokemon. I mean, its worst stats HP, and it's 60. That you're going to do pretty well if your worst stats 60. But the problem with this Pokemon, it's a Stone evolution, so it only starts the game with 3 moves. Tackle, Water Gun, and Harden. Tackle's a 35 base power normal move. Water Gun is a 40 base power stab move, so it's 60 with stab. And then Harden ups our defense by a stage and also does the badge boost glitch, so that's actually pretty good. However, these are the only moves we get via level up, so everything else we got to do is relied upon with TMs, which is not the worst thing ever. However, a lot of the TMs we're going to use that are very good, you can't get till like middle to late game anyway. So we got to go through a lot of the game with a subpar moveset for the most part. If we can start the game off, like there's a YouTuber out there named Squidgy, he does a challenge called the 4 move challenge, where he starts off with 4 of any move this Pokemon can get and he plays through. If that was the case, I would say Starmie would definitely be one of the best Pokemon in the game, because you can just pick and choose your 4 best moves. Like you can Water Gun, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Psychic, and you can start the game with that. You'd obliterate this. You beat this game in 30 minutes easily. But the problem is you gotta get through a lot of the game without having access to good moves until you get through some parts of the game. The first move we're going to talk about is Toxic. Actually, we're not going to talk about that at all. It's not a move we're going to use. Takedown, Double Edge, not going to use. Bubble Beam. We get that as soon as we beat Misty. Misty will be tough because we don't have a great move for Misty. This is a Pokemon, actually a lot of Water-type Pokemon are going to utilize Vibe to beat Misty. Bubble Beam is 65 base power, 100% accurate, 98 with Stab. We get access to Ice Beam. Ice Beam would be a great move to have, and we're going to have access to Blizzard. Those are great moves, and we'll get those, like I said, after we get out of Rock Tunnel, so we got to wait for that. Hyper Beam, not going to use Rage, not going to use Thunderbolt. As soon as we beat Lieutenant Surge, we get access to Thunderbolt. However, Lieutenant Surge, we don't have a great move for it. We're going to have Tackle and Bubble Beam. I don't think either of those moves are going to be great. We could one-shot him with Bubble Beam, but it's going to be a risk, and we're weak to Electric, so we might have to wait and backtrack to get Bubble Beam. Psychic is a move we get as soon as we get through Rock Tunnel. We can get it, 90 base power, 100% accurate, 135 with Stab. Very good move to have. We also get access to Teleport. We're not going to use it. Mimic, not going to use. Double Team, not going to use. Reflect, Bide. Bide will be used for a little bit. Swift will probably be used to replace Tackle for a little bit. It's not a great move to have, but we do need a physical move to take down other Psychic Pokemon. Skull Bash, not going to use. Rest, might be used for like a hot minute. I'm going to pause it right there. Might be used for a hot minute in the Elite Four. Thunder Wave, not going to use. Psy Wave, not going to use. Tri-Attack, probably not. Actually, Tri-Attack might be better than Swift, so that might be a better solution than Swift. And then Substitute, Surf, and Flash. We're probably not going to use Surf. I mean, as much as Surf is, but I'd rather have a lot more move diversity and a little bit flexibility rather than locking down one of my moves in my move pool. So, like I said, Starmie, it has great stats, it has great moves, but you have to go through all the way through Rock Tunnel before you get access to any really, really good moves with this Pokemon. And yeah, I think if we started the game with whatever moves we wanted to, I think a lot of Pokemon could probably obliterate this game if we did that, because there's a lot of problems that Brock gives Pokemon that could solve. However, we don't get access to a lot of these moves till at least mid-game, so we got to play at least a third of the game with a subpar move pool compared to what the Pokemon's capable of, and I think that will hinder it. Not by too much. I still think it'll do very well, but I think that'll be a hindrance for this Pokemon. Let's move on to the next Pokemon in this challenge, and that Pokemon is Hypno. Hypno comes in with not really a glaring weakness at all. It has good HP, 85, attack is 73, defense is 70, special is 115, and speed is 67. So its worst stat is speed, but everything else is decently balanced. It's not, that blows you away. Actually, special blows you away. 115 special is very good. And that pairs up with its move pool. We start off with Pound, Hypnosis, Disable, and Confusion. Pound's a good physical move. Not really good, but good for the early game. we get access to Hypnosis. We're probably not going to use Hypnosis very much. Disable, and then Confusion's 50 base power, 100% accurate, 75 with stab. And as we move down, we'll get access to Headbutt at level 24. I don't know if we'll use that or not. And we get access to Psychic at level 37, and then Meditate. Meditate ups our attack stat by 1 stage, but also do the badge boost, so it ups our special by 1 stage as well. Ups our speed when we do it, when we have a corresponding badge. And as we look at our TM move pool, like I said, we've had this with every Pokemon so far. This Pokemon is no exception. We get really good moves with this Pokemon. We will get Mega Punch. That'll replace Pound in Mountain Moon. We will not use Mega Kick. We will not use Toxic Body Slam. We'll replace Mega Punch at some point. 85 base power, 100% accurate. Very good move to have. Takedown won't be used. Double Edge won't be used. Hyper Beam, maybe in the Elite Four just to have a little bit more powerful because we don't have a great attack stat. That might be a little more powerful move to have in the Elite Four. Submission and Counter not going to use, but Seismic Toss could be used. It's a very good move that we can have, and it could probably come in handy in a pinch. Rage, not going to use Psychic. We're going to get it via level up, or we're going to get it via TM long before we get it via level up. 90 base power, 100% accurate, 135 effective power. Not going to use Teleport, not going to use Mimic. Actually, Mimic might be a possibility in the Elite Four. Double Team, Reflect, Bide, Metronome, Skull Bash, Dream Eater, Rest, Thunder Wave, Psy Wave, Tri Attack. There's just not a lot of moves that we're going to utilize with this Pokemon at all. When it comes to this, we're going to focus on using Psychic. We're going to use Body Slam. I really thought this Pokemon had access to Dig, but I guess I was wrong in that. And we're just not going to utilize a lot of other things with this. So I would say of all the Psychic types, probably has the shallowest move pool, but still, we have access to some great things. And the only problem with this Pokemon, I don't think there's not as much move diversity as there is other ones. Like we just looked at Slowbro and Starmie. Slowbro had a ground move. Slowbro had ice move. Slowbro had an electric move. When you look at Starmie had water, ice, psychic, electric. This Pokemon really just has psychic and normal moves and fighting. That's really all it has. It does have a good badge boosting move, so that's not something I want to take away from it, but I think it does have a slight limitation. Now, a lot of you are probably looking at this like, why aren't you utilizing Dream Eater? I don't want to utilize Hypnosis, Dream Eater strategies with this Pokemon because this Pokemon, that's not a reliable strategy. I might utilize Hypnosis just to badge boost, but Dream Eater is not a move because that move is completely worthless if we're not putting the Pokemon to sleep. So I'd rather just use use Hypnosis, put the Pokemon to sleep, maybe set up, and then sweep, rather than just using Dream Eater. It's a great move, but you're so relied upon of the opposition being put to sleep that it's just not worth it to me. I think it's just too much of a risk. I'd rather go with the safe strategy of putting the opposition. If we don't want to put the opposition to sleep, at least we can just use Psychic. Whereas Dream Eater, you're relied solely on the fact that you have to put the opposition to sleep. But this Pokemon, I think, will do very good. I mean, I think it's going to do better than Starmie and Slowbro, which I think are two very solid Pokemon Generation 1. However, I do not think this is going to be as good as the next Pokemon in this challenge, and that Pokemon is Mr. Mime. Now, Mr. Mime does have some pretty big weaknesses in its stats. HP is 40, Attack is 45, Defense is 65, Special is 100, and Speed is 90. So HP is a big weakness. We're pretty frail. Attack isn't great, but it's manageable, and Defense not great. But Special and Speed are fantastic with this Pokemon, and that pairs up very well with our level up move pool. We start the game with Confusion and Barrier. Confusion is a 50 base power special move, or a psychic move, 100% accurate, 75 with stab. And then we get access to Light Screen, Double Slap, not going to use, well, I'm going to use Barrier, I think. But Meditate at level 39 is fantastic. It is a badge boosting move. And I've never actually used Substitute, never used it to my advantage. I don't think in Gen 1 it's that effective. I know in Gen 3 it's like the best strategy ever. So maybe that's something I got to look up and see if we can utilize that. But let's go ahead and look at the TM move pool of this Pokemon. We get access to Mega Punch. We get that in Mountain Moon. It'll be a decent physical damaging move just to give us more power points rather than just having Confusion. Mega Kick and Toxic we're not going to use. Body Slam will replace Mega Punch as our primary physical damaging move, I should say. Takedown and Double Edge not going to use. Hyper Beam, maybe in the Elite Four just to have a very powerful move that can just, kind of boom or bust with it. Submission and Counter not going to use, but Seismic Toss could be useful to this Pokemon. Make sure we have more power points before we get access to some really good moves. Not going to use Rage, not going to use Solar Beam, but we do get access to Thunderbolt once we beat Lieutenant Surge. Very good move, 95 base power, 100% accurate. Get access to Psychic once we get to Saffron City. Psychic is a 90 base power, 100% accurate, 135 with stab, so that's useful. We can use Teleport, but we're not going to use it with this Pokemon. Mimic is a maybe. There's definitely a possibility where Mimic can be used. Double Team, Reflect, Bide, Metronome, Skull Bash, Rest. Not really going to use any of those moves except for possibly Rest. Maybe Bide could be added for some very special reasons and very specific battles, but I don't think we're going to utilize that. Rest, like I said, maybe in the Elite Four we could use it. Thunder Wave, not going to use. Psy Wave, not going to use. Substitute, I don't really know how to utilize that. I've never used that before in my life. And then Flash is another move we have that we're not going to use. So this Pokemon, it does have some pretty good stuff. I think if everything leans towards the special side of it, where we have Meditate, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and I guess our physical move would be Body Slam, I think that's where we got to lean this Pokemon towards. And I think this Pokemon, I played this Pokemon a long time ago, and it was very good. I had one mistake I made in it. I think it cost like a sub 40-minute run, but I think we're going to be able to get it into a very good time. The only problem, like I said, this Pokemon's pretty frail, so I guess that's why it has Barrier and Light Screen, so we'll have to utilize that as we see fit. The next Pokemon in this challenge is going to be Mew. Now, Mew is a very unique Pokemon. Its stats are 100 for every set, 100 HP, 100 attack, defense, special, and speed. Across the board, 100 for all those stats. So it's very well balanced. So you can't sit there and say, well, you should go psych or special, or you should go physical. Well, you should go special because there is some special moves that are stabbed with this Pokemon. And I'm sorry about the image for Mew. It's very blurry. I do apologize about that. We do get access to some moves to start the game. We have Pound, and we get Transform at level 10, Mega Punch level 20, Metronome at level 30, and Psychic level 40. Those moves aren't great. But here's the thing about this Pokemon. I'm going to go and pause it real quick. This Pokemon literally gets access to every TM and HM in the game. So if we have a TM we come across like Water Gun in Mount Moon, we can add it. We can add Mega Punch right after that if we're not already at level 20. We can add it then. As soon as we come across, we beat Misty, we can get Bubble Beam, Thunderbolt. So there's so many options with this Pokemon. We get access to Dig whenever we get past Bill's house. We can get access to Dig when we beat that Rocket. There are so many moves with this Pokemon. This Pokemon has so much diversity. The only thing that slows this Pokemon down is the early game. It just has Pound. Now, there was a challenge done by Scott's Thoughts, a community challenge on his Discord, where everyone played through with Mew and tried to get the best time possible. I think I'm going to watch some of those to see how people effectively use Mew in the early game. Now, they play Pokemon Yellow, I'm playing Pokemon Blue, so there might be some subtle differences, but nonetheless, I think this Pokemon can definitely blast through the game and do very well. I just have to maybe think a little bit about strategy. I might just play through the first time, and then the second playthrough, I might utilize some strategy, but this Pokemon can do very well. It's just about getting through the early part of the game with just Pound. We do have to face Brock's Gym. Pound is a normal move. That's not that effective. We do get access to Transform at level 10. I don't know how useful that's going to be, but that's really what we got to get through. And that's the problem in the early game, is we don't have great moves when it comes to getting by Brock. Once we get by Brock, this Pokemon will unlock. It'll unlock and become extremely effective and extremely good, and we'll fly through the game. It's just about getting through Brock as fast as humanly possible is the question. I'm not going to wax too poetically too much about Mew. We have two Pokemon left to talk about in this challenge, and the next Pokemon is Alakazam. Everyone probably thought this was going to be 1 or 2. This Pokemon is a beast in Generation 1. HP is 55, attack is 50, defense is 45, special is 135, and speed is 120. This is a fantastic Pokemon with great stats. Some stats aren't great, but it's not that big a deal because we have ways to compensate. Now, this is going to be a little bit confusing, so just bear with me. In Generation 1, they came out with Yellow, and they changed up some Pokemon's move pools. I don't know why. I think they were trying to nerf some Pokemon and fix some others. But just listen to my voice. We get access to start the game with Teleport, Confusion, and Disable. Confusion is our only damage-dealing move, 50 base power, 75 with Stab, and 100% accurate. At level 27, we get access to Psybeam, 65 base power, 100% accurate. And I'm pausing that for a second because I want to talk about this. 100% accurate with Stab is 98. This is the first Pokemon we've talked about that gets access to Psybeam. It's a pretty solid move. It's a good in-between between Confusion and Psychic. And then we get Recovery at level 31, and at level 38 we get access to Psychic. We will probably get Psychic long before this because we can get it from Mr. Psychic in Saffron City, so keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and move on to the TM move pool of this Pokemon. It actually is pretty broad. We don't have good physical attack stat, but we do need a physical damaging move to deal with other Psychic Pokemon. So we get access to Mega Punch. We'll get that in Mount Moon. It'll really be used for PP purposes to have more power points. Mega Kick we won't use, Toxic won't use, Body Slam definitely be used for this Pokemon. Like I said, we do need a physical damaging move just for some Pokemon that we deal with, like other Psychic types. Takedown, Double Edge, not going to use. Hyper Beam, probably not going to use. Submission, Encounter, not going to use, but Seismic Toss definitely could be used with this Pokemon just for power points. Rage, not going to use. We do get access to Dig, so that's very interesting. I didn't know this Pokemon had access to Dig. Why this Pokemon gets Dig and a couple others don't, I don't know. There is a ground-type Pokemon that doesn't get access to Dig. That doesn't make sense to me. Nidoking and Nidoqueen both don't get access to Dig, but somehow Alakazam gets I guess he has spoons, so that's probably why he gets access to Dig. And then Psychic via TM, we can get that from Mr. Psychic in Saffron City. Teleport, Mimic, Double Team, Reflect, not going to use. A lot of these moves we're not going to use. Bide, not going to use. And as it progresses, we're just not going to use a lot of these moves. This Pokemon does have some limitations compared to some other Psychic types. But we get access to Psychic, we get access to... I thought maybe we get Thunderbolt with this Pokemon. I guess we don't get access to Thunderbolt. We do access to Rest. That'll be useful in the Elite Four if we need it. Thunder Wave not going to use. We're also not going to use Psy Wave. There's actually more limitations to this Pokemon than I thought. So maybe that's its biggest weakness. It doesn't have quite the diversity that the other Pokemon have access to in this challenge. So maybe that's its biggest weakness. But we still get some decent moves. We still get Psychic. We still get Psy Beam. We're going to get access to some moves that are going to mediate those things by, like with Body Slam and with Seismic Toss. That'll help us out a little bit. I'm going to pause real quick here. And where's it going? Okay, it went back to the top. Okay, when I did this when I was half tired, so these things move around. But the most important thing with this Pokemon is it has great special. So we got to utilize that with Confusion, with Psy Beam and Psychic. And then we have to have some moves for in between just to kind of mediate some things. By having access to Dig and Body Slam, that gives us 2 moves that can actually do some damage. We will probably have to use Mimic, because we don't have a badge boosting move with this Pokemon, unless I was wrong in looking at that. No, we do not have a badge boosting move. We do have a Recover, so maybe Recover will be something I keep for a while. That'll be something that would be very useful. But this Pokemon, very good stats across the board. We do have some weaknesses, but this Pokemon hits so hard, it probably doesn't have to worry too much about being hit very often. It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, the Pokemon you guys thought would win this entire challenge easily, and for good reason, is Mewtwo. Mewtwo comes in with the highest base stat total in the game, the most powerful Pokemon in the game by far. HP is 106, attack is 110, defense is 90, special is 154, and speed is 130. This Pokemon is a beast. Now, a lot of you are going to sit there and say, like, hey, don't use anything other than special moves. That's not 100% true. You still need to have a move to counter other Psychic-type Pokemon. It starts the game off with Confusion, Disable, Swift, and Psychic. We will not use any other moves via level up because we don't get to level 63. We're not going to get to level 63 with this Pokemon, I guarantee it. Confusion, 50 base power, 75 base power, 100% accurate. Disable, not going to use Swift, maybe for a little bit. And then Psychic, 90 base power, 135 with Stab. 100% accurate. You've heard me talk about Psychic 100 times at this point in this video. Like, it would be nice if we had access to Amnesia, but like I said, we're not going to get to level 81, so that's kind of pointless. That's not even going to be a thing. And as we look at our level up, TM move pool, it's very broad. Mega Punch, will we add that? Probably not. Mega Kick, no. Toxic, no. Body Slam, we'll add that just to have a good physical move for other Psychic-type Pokemon. Takedown, Double Edge, not going to use. Bubble Beam, maybe. It's going to give us some move diversity. Ice Beam, maybe as well. That'll give us some move diversity. Both of them go for special, so they'll probably be very powerful. Hyper Beam, not going to use. Payday, not going to use. Submission, Counter, Seismic Toss, Rage, not going to use. Solar Beam, not going to use. Thunderbolt will definitely be used. It'll be used against a handful of Pokemon in this challenge to make sure we can just obliterate and one-shot some things. And in Psychic, we get access to that if we want to get it via TM, just in case we need to delete the move. I don't know where we would do that, but just in case, we can do that. Teleport, not going to use Mimic. If we want a badge boost, we're going to have to use Mimic, because we don't have access to a badge boosting move until level 81. And like I said earlier, we're not going to get to level 81, so that's not something I'm concerned about. And then we get access to Double Team, not going to use. Reflect, not going to use. Bide, not going to use. Metronome, not going to use. Self-Destruct, can't use in a playthrough. Fire Blast, not going to use. Skull Bash, not going to use. Rest, maybe. Thunder Wave, Psy Wave, Tri Attack, Substitute, Strength, and Flash. None of those are going to be used. So what does this leave this Pokemon to have access to? We have access to Ice Beam. We have access to Bubble Beam if we want to keep that. We have access to Thunderbolt, Psychic, and then Mimic the badge boost. That's really what it comes down to with this Pokemon. And this Pokemon is just going to obliterate anything in its path. Now, I want to move on to this. This is something that I've been working on over the last couple days. Now, this is the tier list that we have up to this point. And this tier list looks really well. I've got a lot of compliments of how well this looks compared to some other people out there and their tier lists. I really appreciate those kind words. However, some of the tiers have gotten pretty crowded. So I took the liberty of making a new tier list and making it so there's a lot more room for us to add Pokemon. We do have a lot of Pokemon left. I mean, we only have 3 types left, but they're some of the most abundant types. Water and normal have a lot of Pokemon in that. So as we look at it now, instead of having the S tier being 40 minutes or less, it's now 38 minutes or less. And I do think there's some Pokemon in this challenge, the Psychic type, they're going to jump into that. I definitely think Mewtwo will. I don't know if Alakazam will, but I think it has the possibility to jump into the 38 minutes or less tier, I should say. Then we have the S tier, which is 38 minutes to 40. We have the A tier, which is going to be 40 to 42 minutes. And basically, I've made room so we can add Pokemon into this, and I don't have to squish them in and make them smaller. I mean, they are smaller than the previous one, but now we actually have room to add tons of more Pokemon into this. Now, do I think a lot of Pokemon are going to end up in these bottom tiers? Not in the Psychic type maybe a little bit in the water type, and there may be a few in the normal type, but I'd rather be crowded in the Bruno tier than be crowded in the top tiers, because I want to showcase those Pokemon a little bit more, because they've earned it. They've earned a good time that gets them into those tiers, so they should be showcased a little bit more and easier to see. Whereas if I need to squish down some Golbat or squish down some Pidgeot, we can do that, and it's not that big a deal because those Pokemon really haven't done well in the challenges anyway. I do need to clean it up. I'm looking at it now, and there's some Pokemon that are overhanging. Like look at Magmar's foot. Magmar's foot is like on the line, and it's kind of almost on top of Parasec's head. So I need to adjust this a little bit. I'll do this together, but I hope you guys like the new tier list, and hopefully it works out and we don't have to adjust it again by the time we're done with this entire challenge. So let's go to talk about our next video, which is going to be Sneasel. Sneasel will be coming out next Wednesday. This Pokemon has been very difficult to play through. It's not good to optimize because there's just... I actually had a run where I played through and I was at the Elite Four like 50 minutes. And then I came across like Bruno and he just obliterates us. And then we beat Bruno and then we go to Karen and Karen obliterates us. There's a lot of things that just don't work well for this Pokemon. And I got to figure it out. Whether that's over leveling, maybe I got to do that. Maybe I'm just using the wrong move pool. I got to figure that out. So I got to figure some things out with this Pokemon, but that'll be out on Wednesday. And then next Friday, it's going to be one of two videos. It's either going to be our first Psychic-type Pokemon playthrough, which will probably be Mewtwo in Generation 1, or it's going to be our recap of the Poison types. Now, I do have to play the second round of Poison types, so that's why it hasn't been done, and I haven't started any of those videos, any of those playthroughs yet. So, and this is the 4th of July weekend, so I don't know how much time I'm going to have to do this, but we will see. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What is your favorite Psychic-type Pokemon Generation 1? Who thinks going to win the whole thing? What is your ranking for how you think they're going to end up? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, share to your friends. We're up to 670 subscribers right now. We're at 668 whenever the video came out on Wednesday. So, I mean, gained a subscriber a day. That's a good way to look at it. But let me know what you think. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.